Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all. EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
Self-isolation is not a prison sentence, but it's the safest way to protect the people around you from possibly getting sick. Continue to comfortably buy your groceries and whatever you need, even when in quarantine. Use Coop Bank's e-banking to transfer funds to a close friend or family member's account and get them to do your shopping for you. Log on to www.grenadacoopbank.com and sign up for Coop Bank's e-banking.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Co-op Bank introduces e-payments, our new e-banking feature that allows you to send money to friends or family. E-payments, a swift, simple, and secure way of transferring money.
Welcome home. Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Tillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of EDDIE-FICATION. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence, Spice Island Beach Resort.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks. Good evening and welcome to my 88th Independent Live session and 34th for 2022 as we continue to cope with the anxious energies of many. When would the tumult of this bouncing low tendencies and low expectations subside among us? I believe when we wake up one day and say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I've had enough of this current diet that I continue to feed myself. It's really time for me to be the change that I want to see in my life. If it ain't one thing, it's another. And so the tumult is on, and all we can trust and pray for is that it subsides soon. Our topic today, very interesting topic, folks. Our second life begins when we realize we only have one. I have a mint in my mouth that is giving me a little trouble. So let me take it out and then I'll come right back to you. Lovely. Now, our second life begins when we really realize we only have one to live, and that we should be resolved to live that one intentionally and to the fullest so that we can leave our footprint on the sand of time, committed to leaving a rich legacy behind us. Currently, too many of us Grenadians are forgettable. We live to 40 years, 60 years, 70 years, 80 years. And nobody remembered that we were alive because we left no mark. There is no legacy. We came and all we did was subtract, subtract, subtract. We came and we just fell in line and became part of what you call the gimme, gimme gang. We never added. We never contributed. Our life is ours, and we should be prepared to experiment with it so that we can gain the right experience and develop the expertise to ensure that everything we do will be done excellently. Isn't that beautiful, folks? We've just witnessed the ceremonial opening of the first session of the 11th Parliament since independence. And what an interesting exercise it was. Pomp and pageantry, indeed. Interestingly, a friend and I had a conversation, and as if to be soothsayers, we predicted some screw-up or screw-ups will take place, as our standards have become so very low over the last few years, especially from 1995 to Thursday, 23rd June, 2022. Many of our people have grown to accept what is as the norm, that because we only seemed to know the taste of vinegar, we could never appreciate the taste of honey. And indeed, the screw-up came when the program for the day's proceedings was printed. The entire elected slate of MPs on the opposition side omitted. Now, whether the personnel at the independent legislative arm of government did not realize that June 23rd did not yield a third 15-0, and they got so accustomed to only listing elected MPs from the winning side, as seen in 2013 and 2018 respectively. Parliament has got to take responsibility. Leading the charge to apologize was the clerk, who did a splendid job to refer to the omission as inexcusable and unacceptable. And we should really give him kudos for that. To me, there is where it should end. The clerk and his team must do some serious reflection to ensure that this experience teaches them to check, double check, and triple check everything that they do, as Parliament is sacrosanct and must be beyond dispute and reproach. To hear assertions, though, that the printed program may have had to go to a government operative for approval and that this was their orders is to mix up the current time that we are living in with the time immediately preceding June 23rd. That is how the pre-June 23rd era operated. So let's not cross-trump. You see, when citizens with a license to be regarded as the fifth estate or bastion of society remained quiet when all institutions were being dismantled, prostituted, and ostracized from 1995 to Thursday, 23rd June 2022, and to all of a sudden seem to wake up to the status quo changing drastically as a result of a change in administration, and feel they could retroactively speak out about maladies of the past tagging them on the present administration in this present construct where every institution is left to function as they ought to, even though there is great concern for the likelihood of sabotage by stubborn, inferior operatives of the last regime within the system. You know, this concern is voiced by many who keep referencing the 2008 to 2013 period, where many of these inferior operatives were allowed to run amok to the chagrin of the Tillman Thomas administration. We must remember that people in sensitive, constitutionally provided for positions were immediately replaced without due process, to the point where cases in our Supreme Court were heard regarding one former commissioner of police and one former cabinet secretary. It's only now hitting home to many that the dismantling of the public service was wantonly done, and weaklings, better put, neophytes with little to no capacity, capabilities, and competence put in position to carry out the bidding of the administration that had no use for due process on doing anything properly, let alone professionally. As a result, we have been forced as a nation to take things delivered to us anyhow by people who have no clue. And this faux pas with the program at the first session of the 11th Parliament ought not be surprising. Interestingly, the architect of the decadence and decay of our systems were the biggest victims of their own undoing over the years. It is our wish that the new Deacon Mitchell-led administration will do all in its power to include in its transformational agenda the correcting of all these maladies and give people in the system a feeling of belongingness to a framework that makes sense and demands more of them so they can stretch beyond their current operating capacities or lack thereof in context of the need for competence. Just as a side here though, a woman met me in one of the supermarkets this morning, and feeling comfortable enough with me, she said, "Mr. Eddie, I know your government in power now, but from the time they come in, the price of everything gone up. I don't know how we gonna make it under them." With a snide grin on my face, I responded, "I'm so sorry that you feel this way. Be careful who you repeat this to, because everybody knows you to be a big beneficiary of the last administration that ransacked Grenada for their own personal gain. The things you used to receive precluded you from knowing the price of anything, and now they are gone and your lifeline has been cut. You are now having to face the supermarket with your own money to find out the real cost of things. Things ain't gone up since they came in office at all. That's how your people had it, with no real genuine care for the poor and vulnerable. Time to spend the money you accumulated over the years. So their foundation of the high cost in this country is what you are now have to pay for from some of the ill-gotten gains. The only response she had to this lesson in truth was, "Mr. Eddie, you always we?" With a guilty grin on her face, she sped off. Of course, there were people who were within the vicinity and heard me. And she was really embarrassed. It's sad. It's sad. How could you make a statement like that from the time they came, things gone up? When you check the background of this goodly lady, or woman rather, what do you see? A beneficiary that gone broke. So she's now getting to find out the price, the real price of stuff. If we pay attention, folks, as a general rule, we would realize that in truth and in fact, our second life begins when we realize we only have one. Isn't that beautiful, folks? When we realize we only have one life to live.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of edification. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence. Spice Island Beach Resort.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Good. Now, folks, I just want, before we go into the second segment and before I pay you homage, folks, I just want you to not be distracted as some of you were last week. This is a public program. You're going to get all sorts of sour people coming in. Their goal is to distract you. Pay attention, folks. That is one of our problems in Grenada. Pay attention. Do not pay attention to distractions. Pay attention to the focal point. What is going on here? Stay focused. Good? Don't get yourself thrown. They say obstacles are those scary things you see when you take your eyes off your goal. Stay focused. Do not let anybody derail you. So let us get the comments and let us make the comments relevant to the subject matter. Our second life begins when we realize we only have one. So in paying homage to you people now, we have Samantha. Who else do we have in there? We have Joss, Cynthia, Roxy, Osmond. We have Kaiv. That's on one particular platform. And the other platform, let me start from the top. Let me start from the top here, folks. All right. So we have here with us this evening, Alvis, my friend, good to see you. We have Nicole, Kerry-Ann, Jim, Tamika, Marcelia, that's a nice name, Isan, Kendra, Sam Antha, Facebook user, Patricia, Alistair, we have Agatha, Sawandi, my dear friend, blessings to you. We have Marva, Charmaine, Maria, Elisa, Josie, Janice, Samantha, this is another Samantha, so you know what we're talking about. Jennifer, Joanne, John, Karen, Yvette, Margaret, Val, Doreen, Donna, another Patricia, Sharon, Jacinta, Lisa, I think I said that before, but I'll say it again just in case, you know. Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? We have is this, yeah, Roderick or Rodrique? That's a Spanish pronunciation, that is. We have Sonia. La 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 la. Toby, Silvani, welcome. Bree, Anne, David, Jerry. Just want to, you know, we have Faith, Christy Bell. It's so lovely to have you folks join us, you know, Christiana, Quince, and Roger. Welcome, folks. Let's see if we can, you know, get ourselves inspired, motivated, and edified here this evening. Remember, stay focused. Obstacles are those scary things you see when you take your eyes off your goal. Do not allow yourself to be derailed by distractors or distraction. Okay? So let's get... Welcome back, folks. Our topic today, our second life begins when we realize we only have one, is actually the title of a book written by Raphael Giordano, which has made over 2 million readers happier for reading it. It's a story of one woman's inspirational journey from boredom to dissatisfaction, to happiness and fulfillment. Now, the lives of so many of our people here are so steeped in boredom and dissatisfaction. And if only we would realize that that is not how life is meant to be lived, we will gravitate towards the things and activities that would bring for us happiness and fulfillment. As I've already told you, you know, folks, life without purpose is set up to be boring. On the other hand, according to Sadhguru, that Indian Hindu sage, if you are too serious about everything, you will only know thoughts and emotions. You will not know life. You are the only one responsible for your life. You are the only one responsible for your own happiness. So you need to pursue your life in relation to attracting happiness vigorously and guard the spoils of its jealousy. Now, guess if someone told you you're probably suffering from a type of acute routinitis, you will quickly ask, a what? So many of us are into the routine of our various lives, which mimic same old, same old. It is discovered, you know, folks, that acute routinitis is a condition that makes one continually finding it hard to feel happy, despite an abundance of material wealth, a feeling of disillusionment and lethargy, amongst other things. But how do you know all that? You might ask in return. Maybe you are a routinologist. You may respond just to be funny, of course. Now, we have too many things going on for us to be able to be happy. But we just have the wrong perspective. We are focused on what other people have, regardless of their method of acquisition. We are too focused on money and our lack of it, even though we continue to not do anything desirable to receive and attract it, to be actually ready for it. Our attitude needs some adjustment, folks. Too many of us lack appreciation for the fact that happiness is based on our perspective. I read about these two men, for instance, who've been bricklayers for more than 30 years. They were working on a huge construction site. One man was always negative, discouraged, constantly complaining. and dreaded going to work. Isn't that very familiar? The other man was just the opposite. He was excited to show up each day and had an attitude of faith and enthusiasm about life. Too few of us can identify with this type of effervescent and enthusiastic personality. One day, a friend came by the job site and asked them separately what they were doing. The first said, "Oh, you mean what we're doing? We're laying bricks, can't you see? We've been doing this for 30 years. It's so bloody boring. One brick on top of the other." Well, you didn't even have to ask that. You could see what we're doing. So you see, the negative fire in his soul. Then the friend asked the second bricklayer. He just lit up. "We're building a magnificent structure here, man. This structure is going to stand tall for generations to come. I am just so excited that I could be a part of this." You realize each bricklayer's happiness or lack thereof was based on his perspective. In your life, you can be laying brick or you can be building a beautiful structure. The choice is totally up to you. You can go to work each morning and just punch in on the clock and dread being there all day and do as little as possible. Very familiar in Grenada. Or you can show up with enthusiasm and give it your best, knowing that you're making the world a better place. Too few people are that way inclined. The same way you eat an elephant one bite at a time, it is the same way you wake up each morning and with your breath of consciousness, you make up your mind to knock the day for 6. Living intentionally will change your perspective on life. You may not acquire the things that you wanted when you operated under your previous mental construct, but to a great extent, the fulfillment of your life will be a lot more in sight for your attainment because your perspective changed. You would wake up in the morning and thank God for waking you up to see a brand new day, to right the wrongs of the day before and make your life better instead of waking up and being upset that the morning came too quickly. You know, there's some people who say, "Thank you, God, for this new day." And there are others who say, "Oh, God, you mean it's morning already?" How many of you like that? Some of you listening to me right now are just like that. Folks, tinybuddha.com, that is, reminds us our diet is not only what we eat. It is what we watch, what we listen to, what we read, the people we hang around. We therefore need to be mindful of the things we put into our body, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Brendan Burchard, one of the best life coaches on offer, advises us to practice self-respect and self-care. According to him, quote, "When we let people violate our safety, our space, our values, it shows that we do not respect ourselves." If you're always giving of yourself and you continue to deplete yourself by being a people pleaser, that's not going to bring or prove self-respect either. Self-respect requires you to practice self-care, to take care of your bodily temple, to be peaceful, to give yourself enough time and energy and loving tenderness as much as you give it out to others who receive, and in many cases, they give you nothing along those lines in return. Failure to do this will cause you to run out of gas, and you will surely not be able to serve other people well. You cannot serve other people unless you practice self-care. You know what I tell you, for instance, in the plane? Before you can help somebody else secure yourself, put on your mask, put on your oxygen situation. Make sure you are okay, because it's only when you are okay you can ensure that others are okay too. So to go back to this quotation from Brendan Burchard, you'll burn out, and that's the opposite of serving other people. And that's precisely why you must take care of yourself. Now, if we pay attention, as a general rule, we would realize that in truth and in fact, our second life rarely begins when we realize we only have one. We only have one.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited, Antillian Group, Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of edification. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence. Spice Island Beach Resort.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, wonderful, folks. So we're halfway through this program for this evening. Come on, share the live, folks. Let's get some more people in the room so that they can realize that happiness really is about perspective. Good. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back. Many times, you know, folks, we are trapped between our self-perception and how other people perceive us. Remember, I told you character is who you are. Reputation is what people think of you. When you take care of your character, who you are, your reputation takes care of itself. Because if you're a person who's steeped in character, you will be consistent. And what people are repeating as their perception of you or what they feel of you, it's such an interesting thing, folks. Would not be consistent with what people are actually seeing coming from you. Your consistency is what will cause people to understand. Okay? So it's very, very important. So, many of us give too much priority to how we are perceived by others, ignoring the realization that we cannot control how others see us, far less to perceive us. Isn't that interesting? To bring clarity to this crossroad at which you find yourselves, you have to ensure that every single day you have a very clear intention for who you want to be. The message here is living intentionally, ramping up your consciousness and remaining awakened and alive to your new realities, new realization, and new existence. You have to have a clear intention as to who you want to be each day. You need to stop the mumbling, bumbling, and jumbling each day. You have to have an intention for what kind of person you want to show up to the world as. How do I want to be perceived? And be very clear about that. I want to be perceived as a firm character who understand the value of no, N-O. Remember some time ago I tell you, no is a whole sentence. It's just a 2-letter word, a 1-syllable word, but it is also an entire sentence. I want to be perceived as a person who cuts no corners in what I say and do. I want to be a person who is kind, but blessed with the spirit of discernment to know when my kindness is falling on fertile ground as against barren ground. I want to be perceived as someone who is generous with his knowledge, talent, and skills. I want to be perceived as someone who is focused more on quality of friendship, which is of value to be as family as against a quantity of associates who bring mayhem and discord into my life. Isn't that beautiful, folks? I want to be perceived as a person who places a high value on respect over like or dislike. I want to be perceived as a person who delivers value for money and then some. I want to be perceived as a person who is thoughtful and caring, but not stupid. I want to be perceived as a person to whom no one can come with nonsense, to include small talk about people's business and other things that will not add value to my life. So if you can't articulate the real you, please don't ask other people to figure it out, because you wouldn't like what they will figure out for you. If you are not clear on who you own, on your own values, mind you, and how you want the world to see you and what you want to accomplish, please don't ask the world to know what you are and what you're about. The truth is, you really may not like what comes back to you. It begins with that intention and clarity with self first. You got to do your homework on personal development. Read the books, folks. Look at the right videos and associate with the right people. And you know, Grenada is a place right now has deteriorated into a place with a lot of wrong people. So be careful who you associate with. You've got to geek out and figure out how you want to show what your goals are. If you don't do it, I promise you, you will never figure it out. It is no secret that a lot of people are miserable in their lives because they don't understand themselves and are never clear on communicating who they are. Yet for all, they blame others for not understanding them. So you see, it all starts with declaring your intention with clarity and defining yourself. What are the words that will define how you are going to be today? I want to treat people like they really matter today. Those are some affirmations that you can establish on a daily basis, folks. And those affirmations are your intentions for the day. Every day when you show up in that mental frame and you execute accordingly, then integrity starts showing up in your life. And you have that congruence of being who you really want to be. And more people see that on a consistent basis, you being like you versus scattershot, just running ragged, reacting, conforming, or trying to fit in. Now, when you know you and you show up as you more often, people will go, you know, look at him. Ah, I finally get him. It's quite obvious you will become memorable as against forgettable, as most people are prone to be. The other big thing you can do, folks, is learn by discussion. Learn by discussion. It can go against the grain of your ego. It is not an easy thing, but it is worth it. Ask people how they perceive you. But you have to make sure these are trusted people. Good? You've got to gravitate to the trusted people in your life's experiences who will tell you as it is and not patronize you. According to this person, Jim, you must be unique. Too many of us try to mimic others. I demand great service wherever I go, because the service, I'm not going to the St. Vincent de Paul Society. I am not going to any charity. I'm going to a business place. And I don't get good service, I walk out. And if more of you do that, these places will check themselves. But you will join them to criticize me instead of taking a cue from me to help them put themselves in order. But that is who I am, and I ain't changing that. Isn't that beautiful, folks? I ain't changing that for nobody. The leather cabinet that I have in my back pocket, it's called a wallet. The contents of it, nothing was stolen. Everything was worked for, and nobody getting anything from inside there just so. You got to deliver. You don't deliver, I walk out, because you don't deserve my patronage. You see, too many of us want to fit in. But fit into what? Grenada has become a decrepit lolly drain as it relates to a civilization. What you fitting into? Come on, folks, be a leader and help the rest to come out. Help them to come out. People like me, I need help. I need help. Because you see, the minority is standing up for something while the majority remaining quiet. And joining all the misfits of society to criticize the man or the woman that is trying his or her best to bring things up in our society. We dyslexic. That's a dyslexic move there, folks. A retarded move. You see, folks, let us say you had a meeting and it appears to have gone well. That might be so. It appears to have gone well because you think it went well. Don't celebrate and drown out the likelihood of opposing sentiments. The opposing sentiments can help you to do the future meetings much better than you just did this one. Isn't that beautiful? Instead, you should ask, how did that meeting go for you? How do you think I conducted it? Was there anything else I could have done better? How do you think I talked to this person or that person? How do you think I answered that question that so-and-so asked? Is there anything that you feel that I missed? Hello? Just start asking other people of their perception of you and your performance. Remember, I say it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's worth it. People learn to respect you when you do that. Folks, just start asking other people questions. Don't be afraid of the feedback. It's both the gutsiest and scariest thing in the world to do because most people don't want feedback. But if you never solicit feedback, if you are not consistent in asking for it, then people don't say it. And then one day when a really relevant opposing view shows up, you get all bent out of shape because you developed a warped view of yourself. A lot of the external feedback that comes from people outside of you can serve to make you better at what you do. If you realize that all you are trying to do is to learn and not judge, you won't take it personally. And that is what our biggest problem is. We take things personally. So then you wouldn't take things personally, but as a learning point that can either work for you or not. But it is good to know what's out there. It is true that some people are going to be mean to you in the process of giving feedback, whether directly, indirectly, or even incognito, hypocritically, that is. Yeah. It is true that some people are going to call you names. They're going to be hard on you. Folks, when people call you names, don't worry about them, just as long as they don't call you late for a meal. I always tell people, call me what you want, just don't call me late for lunch, because lunch is my main meal for the day. Don't call me late for it. Isn't that beautiful? But that is all part of life, folks. People being hard on you, people being easy on you. It's all part of the package called life. So don't be surprised by it anymore. You are too old and mature now for other people being a jerk to you. How you reacted years ago, you should not be still reacting. What happened? You're stuck in time? You should know it's going to happen. You should know that people are going to give you negative feedback. Remember, styles of delivery are usually different and reflected on background, socialization, educational level, and general grounding. Learn to filter and take what matters and discard the unwanted frills, because how they give it reflects how they know how to give it. You have to know the honest people who will give honest, no frills feedback. So how does a progress check fit into your approach to improving your self-perception, for instance? Now, self-perception should be checked against progress. Self-evaluation of where you are in comparison with where you want to be. A lot of us think we are great at what we do, but we have not done anything desirable in several weeks. We have not added any weight. Isn't that interesting? We have not added anything new. We just continue doing the same old, and we expect to get a different result. No. A lot of people, on the other hand, think they are not so good and have not given themselves the necessary credit for all that they have done. Some people have never paid attention to their progress and integrated them together with the momentum they developed over the years, and so they feel weak and unaccomplished. We have to stop hating on ourselves, folks, in spite of our progress, just because we do not adjudge them sufficient. It's not about hating yourself. It's about getting real with yourself. So in checking your self-perception against your progress, if you find that you are not sufficiently where you ought to be, you should evaluate and say, you know what? I'm not showing up enough. I'm not giving my full. I'm not playing intensely enough. I am not protecting my time and handling my time well. I am not speaking up for my truth. Sometimes, we have to be real with ourselves before we can know ourselves. Sometimes we have to acknowledge the fact that we are not progressing, and that ought to spark something in us that makes us feel, you know what? I don't want to feel like a loser. I don't want to feel like I am not doing things. Sometimes we need internal angst and anger to fuel us. Not to hate ourselves, but to acknowledge our failings and get back into the game and improve on the things that make us feel so in the first place. Now, in this way, we will be approaching our lives as an opportunity to grow and progress faster, and our self-perception would start to align with the real progress in our life, and we will feel the momentum in the depth of our character. Now, in the times of our bad days, weeks, and months, we've got to acknowledge them, be okay with them, Don't hate yourself. Instead, go like this. You know, I can do better. What's my next project? What's my next progress check? The next project milestone that I aim for? And get back on track. And you will surely find yourself feeling better and people perceiving you in more of your real truth. That is, a capable, competent, and confident person. You see, folks, if we really pay attention, as a general rule, we would realize that in truth and in fact, our second life begins when we realize we only have one. Let's take a little break here before we come back to the last segment.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited, Antillian Group, Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of edification. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence. Spice Island Beach Resort.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Lovely. So we come back to our last segment here now, folks. And I'd like to just welcome all the newcomers to the room to this evening, Edification 130. And basically, you know, as we say, our theme or topic area is our second life begins when we realize we only have one. Some people behave as though time is something you could tie up and put in a box and put away in a cupboard and say, when I'm finished using this, I will use that. Folks, we live continuous moments of now. As the clock ticks, our life whittles away. Make sense with your life. Let us become people of substance rather than people, you know, getting ready to die, but become forgettable easily because we never contributed. We born with a big minus sign on our foreheads, and guess what? We just came and we take. We joined what was called the gimme gang as long as we were alive. Let me see what they had here for me here. Yes, I want a school voucher, and then I have 6 children. This time now it's only 3, you know, but you register the children at different names. 3 in the first names, and the other 3 you put the second name first. To do what? Folks, we can't live like that. That's a life of no substance. These things have a way of catching up with you because you are never better off for it. Because when you are operating in a mental construct of dishonesty, what happens to you? You stymieing your growth. You stymieing your own progress. Because remember I told you last week, I believe, thank God, the world has more honest people in it than dishonest people. It is just that what the dishonest people are capable of is so devastating. It makes you feel that there's a lot of them. But if there were more dishonest people than honest people, supermarkets would have been abolished. That sounds flippant, but it's deep. Think about it. Because we still have supermarkets, people can still go in, but more honest people shop than dishonest people. Otherwise, those places would have been closed a long time now. A long time now. Welcome back, folks. So I want you to ramp up your ability to do some gut check yourself. And that requires a degree of leadership in your own life. The only one life that you've got. Lead yourself in your own life now. Are you being a role model or a leader for other people? What is your claim to fame thus far in your life? Those of you who are prepared to be conscious people, but you didn't know how, let this light a fire in you, folks, so that you become a conscious person going forward. Is it your intention to positively influence other people, or are you just going through the motions of life on a daily basis? A lot of people are scared to check their self-perception. Check your identity. Check who you feel you are against the real you and the influence that you have with other people. If the answers are, I don't have any influence, I don't have any leadership, I don't have any attribute to make me stand out in a way that makes me worthy, there comes a time, folks, when you have to say, come. What do I need to learn about leadership? What do I need to learn about communication? What do I need to learn about persuasion? If you can get better at those, your self-perception of yourself improves. And your body language sports more confidence. When you know that you are valuable to others because of your leadership, communication, and persuasive abilities, and that your life's work is influencing others to develop and grow, your work is over. Your perception must align with the truth that you are here to make a difference. You are here to make a difference in the lives of others, and that you are capable of helping other people. And when they see that you are helping other people, and you feel that you are helping other people, that alignment comes back to help you feel better about who you are, because you recognize that other people are seeing your greatness. Folks, you can't be great if you don't lead. You can't feel great about yourself unless you care for other people. Not say you care. Like you've been hearing, the vulnerable, the poor and the vulnerable, and we care and we love them. That is just beating gums. Show it. It's like Christianity. You don't say you're a Christian. You do it. You remember what I told you about Mohandas Gandhi, what he said? This is one of the biggest and most profound practicing Hindus of all times. What did he say? If Christians behaved as the Christ they say they follow, the whole world would have been Christian. We have to remember there are some steps that you must take before you can, but the path you are currently on cannot take you there. The current bouncing low path, this current minding other people's business path, this current refusal to grow path, this current stuck in time and remaining in your comfort zone path, this current one dimension path where all you can see is only what you look at. Your time has come to think outside the box, and without the box for that matter. Your time has come to really make that conscious decision to remove your brain from fixed deposit and put it instead on current account. Yes, you may have several friends and associates who dwell in that place. I'm inviting you to leave that place and leave them there. Remember, you were not joined at the hip at birth with any of them. And therefore, since you are already separated as people, two different people, you can move on and away on your merry way to better self-perception and a much better and desirable reality. Part of life is growing and outgrowing people. Stop feeling guilty about your procession just because the people around you are unable to step it up themselves. Hello? Too bad. Other people are not your responsibility. Never in this lifetime have I witnessed someone grow from force. People will learn the lessons they are meant to learn on their own timeline. A lot of us parents make children and we may not be happy with their performance in a particular thing or in life. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But I know your business. They will learn and grow on their own timeline. Worry about you and your journey, and you will be amazed at the doors that will continue to open for you. If you keep 1 foot in and 1 foot out of every situation, you will never be able to expand in your greatest potential. You are not called upon to become a new greedy person to replace all the past greedy people who have been displaced. No! You are to be better than that and position yourself on track to independence. Studies have shown that education is the only permanent route out of poverty. Not being greedy. Being greedy leads you to be disgraced. Being greedy can puff you, folks. You know the word puff? Look at how many of you, many people in this society that we know who are disgraced today, who have puffed themselves by greed, largesse over the years. Look at them. They have dwindled and whittled themselves down to nothing. No respect. People have no respect for them. No regard. People shun them. People look at them and they look down on them. Never mind their material acquisitions over the years. My admonition to you here, folks, read your books. Look at inspirational and motivational videos. Attach yourself with good company, good people, people that can make you stretch and live a fulfilled life. Remember, you can become who you can become is a result of your disciplined action. Disciplined action. It's a derivative of integrity, folks. It is precisely because we are each created for increase that we should mind our own business and not allow anyone to take us and play the fool with us. Too many of us are stuck at a particular juncture in our lives where leaders in our various societies and communities use us as tools for their own prosperity. We have to watch that, folks. Have you come down with destination disease? There are many people who have that disease. They reach a particular place and they stop. Folks, success is not a destination. It's a journey. It's a journey. You're comfortable with not learning anything new. Yet for all you love to get into arguments with others who know more than you. Studies tell us that the average person only uses 11% of his brain. Think of all the potential you could be tapping into if you use more. Maybe you're an accountant. That's good, but why not get a CPA certification? That gift will make you more room for you in your life. Maybe you're an electrician, a plumber, a mechanic. That's great. But what steps are you taking to improve your skills and your position in life? If you spend 2 hours a day improving on the same skills, in 3 years, you'll be an expert in that area, without doubt. In today's competitive marketplace, with the economy so tight and businesses so bottom line oriented, if you are not improving, then you are falling behind. If your skill level, listen to this, is at the same place today as your skill level was 5 years ago, you have placed yourself at a great disadvantage. Help me to light this new fire, folks, under you. Shake off the destination disease. You have not reached where you are supposed to reach yet. You're still breathing. You're still alive. There's still further along in your journey you can go. Sharpen your skills. I read an article about reducing the risk of being laid off. There were 3 main things that employers look for in determining who stays. They look for those with positive attitudes. They look for those with flexibility. And they look for those with a desire to keep learning and improving. To be a winner, you need to develop your gifts to the point where your company can't make it without you. You become indispensable, so to speak. Or at least, you want your bosses to know things don't run nearly as smoothly when you are not there. If you are out for a week and nobody misses you, that's okay, as long as you are the owner of the company. But if you are an employee, hey, folks, that's alarming. There's some people when they're not at work, woo, everybody happy. The devil took on a human personality, and that person is so not missed. Everybody in the place glad that that person didn't come to work today. If that person dies today or tomorrow, they did everybody a favor. A lot of you work with people like that. Sour characters. Negative, caustic, toxic people. Folks, remember, if you are not being missed, maybe you're not needed. You need to kick it into the new gear, especially in this transformational era, where indeed change is the only antidote for the dotishness we have been saddled with over the years by leaders who are minding their personal business at the expense of you, the negligent masses. Take some classes to increase and improve on your skills. Step it up a notch, folks. Stop settling for a low position where no one will miss you. You have some treasure in you, talent and skills that will cause you to be noticed. Start sharpening your skills, for cream always rises to the top. Stop making the mistake of settling for good enough. That's mediocrity, folks. Good enough is not your destiny. When you have an excellent spirit, it shows up in the quality of your work and the attitude with which you do it. Enthusiasm is always present. Passion is always present. As a child of the Most High, you were created to excel. Keep reaching forward to the new things the Master has in store for you, with this useful and deserving change made available to all of us. Don't gamble this change. As I told a group of young people the other day, stop thinking about elections in 5-year cycles. Think about it in 60-month cycles instead. You realize 2 months gone already, 58 more months to go. And the 3rd month is marching fast. Let me draw this quick example to you folks. If we really as human beings were to expire, die, at 70 according to the biblical teachings, 70 years that is. You could imagine somebody who is 60 knowing that they will expire finally in 10 years' time. Let me show you how short the 10 years become. 10 by 12, 120 months. And you know what is interesting? Every month that goes is one less. Every month that goes is one less. You realize what's happening? There's a countdown on your life. Start thinking along those lines. Stop putting your brain on fixed deposit and inside the box. Mash up the box. Come out of the box. And let us live as free people. You know that song, Born Free as the wind blows? Hello. That's how we are supposed to, but with responsibility. Only a change in our attitude and approach to life will guarantee that our second life will begin when we realize we only have one. Folks, I'm in, I'm out, I'm gone. See you next week, God willing, for regular programming. Until then, I want you to stay safe, stay well, remain lifted. I want you to think on these things that I shared with you here tonight. Think on them. Become wise. You know, they say a man that can go to a restaurant on his own and sit and drink and eat has reached a dangerous level of freedom. Become that man and stop going with a string man of people. And when you're done, you have to pay the bill and all of them talking about you. All of them to discuss how you're stupid, you know. Because we're not so genuine anymore, folks. We only have takers, for the most part, in this life today. Give me. And very little gratitude. So, toodaloo, all the best to you, and thanks for joining. And remember, I'm here, God willing, next week again. So until then, let's keep our eyes cool and our fingers crossed. And stay well, folks. All the very best. Thank you very much for joining me this evening, all of you. And for those of you who will be joining me subsequently, peace and blessings, continued blessings.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
Living with the pandemic hasn't been easy, but that does not mean that life has to fall apart. Work, play, and take care of your finances from home. Connect with friends on social media. Host Zoom meetings with colleagues and use Co-op Bank's e-banking to pay your bills and manage your funds. Log on to www.grenadacoopbank.com and sign up for Co-op Bank's e-banking.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Co-op Bank introduces e-payments, our new e-banking feature that allows you to send money to friends or family. E-payments, a swift, simple, and secure way of transferring money.
Welcome home. Believe in our strength. We'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we get. It's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Tillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of EDDIE-FICATION. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence, Spice Island Beach Resort.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.